Hello and welcome to episode 126 of Beyond the Brick. I'm Joshua Hanlon, and you might have noticed that we took a week or two break here from the show while our convention coverage is being posted. When we go to conventions like a Brick Fair, it takes a lot of time while we're there, and then also working on editing the videos and stuff. So we aren't able to record the show as often when we do that, but we are back now, and Matthew's actually out this week because college classes are starting back up, school's starting back up across the country, so we're getting all that worked out. So he was getting all that worked out and couldn't make it tonight. But we still have a great show for you tonight, and I'd like to thank Philly Brick Fest for their support of Beyond the Brick and sponsoring this episode. Philly Brick Fest will be held at the Philadelphia Expo Center on September 12th through 14th. It is a public event with many hands-on attractions such as the LEGO video game area, where you can challenge your family or make new friends playing your favorite LEGO titles head-to-head. And more info can be found at brickfestlive.com. We appreciate their support here. Now, joining me on the show tonight is Grant Davis, and you might know Grant from some of the videos that he has gotten us from conventions out on the West Coast, kind of the West Coast correspondent here at Beyond the Brick. He has gotten us videos from Bricks Cascade and BrickCon, so we definitely appreciate that. He is 16 years old and not a member of a lug yet, but when he turns 18, he'll be able to join Port Lug. So it's great to have you on the show, Grant.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. Now, if you just want to start off by telling us a little bit about when you first started getting building.
Well, I first started off when I got my first Lego set. My parents bought me when I was 4 years old. After that, I sort of just got into it over and over and kept getting more and more sets. It never really fell away, super large amount, but I've been building ever since I was 4 years old.
Okay, awesome. So no huge dark age there, no time when you completely gave up on it?
Marginal dark age, when I was about 12 years old, I'd sort of go back and build something every 2 or 3 months. Sort of trying to build a little better than I have in the past, but not really super good. So kind of mild dark age, and then when I was about 14 years old, I found the online community and then continued on from there.
Now, I'd be interested to hear what were some of the first sites you found online. I know everybody sometimes approaches it a little bit different with what theme they come into and stuff. Was it Brothers Brick or sites like that, Flickr? What did you first find online?
The first website I actually found was Lego Kuso, or Kusu, however you say that. The double O at the end is kind of confusing.
Yeah.
I found that, a friend showed me that, and I was around there lurking for a while, started going on and supporting all the projects. I made my own project, which I have since deleted because it was very bad. But from there, I believe it was the AP, the Alex P. from Mock Pages. He had a few links in his projects, and I went over to Mock Pages from there, and then eventually to Flickr, and then found the Brothers Brick from that. So it was sort of different than what I would have if I was just searching online, but my friend showed me Lego Kusu, and I sort of just progressed from there.
Okay, so yeah, a little bit of an unusual route into the online community, but you know, find a cool site like that with so many great builds, and like you said, you can get voting for them and stuff, and feel like you get more involved that way.
Yeah, some interesting things sort of in the transitions there. I never really went from one to another. It was sort of log on to Mock Pages and then go back to Kusu for a few months and then go back to Mock Pages. I followed one person, Mark of Fallworth, on Mock Pages when I first got there, and whenever he posted a new project, I'd go on the website for a few hours. And so he sort of kept me coming back, going to it. So I really have to thank him. Without him, I would have never kept going back and actually gotten into everything. So there's that, and then his links to Flickr and such as well got me into Flickr. So it was really a few-month period where I was just gradually going more and more to Mock Pages, and eventually made my own account and started posting there.
Now, you build mostly, I would say, castle from what I've seen following your builds and stuff. Have you always thought of yourself as a castle builder, or do you try to branch out into all areas?
Recently I've been doing some pirate stuff, the little island I've been working on, but mostly castle builds. That was one of the original projects I put on Lego Kusu. Was like this castle project. Not really sure where I was going with it, and that's one of the big reasons why I've deleted it. But yeah, a castle builder for the most part.
Hmm. And you do have some great castle builds. A couple I wanted to talk about here. Gonna show them a little bit. One that you kind of a little bit of castle technique, but also the island that you were talking about that you're working on. So this is the monkey rock that you call this. Kind of some cool techniques in here.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to do this build?
Well, you see, there's a little bit of action going on here. A Plastic Infinity originally put me up to it, but to have a guy running away from these monkeys. And so I've sort of just gradually been going through and having the monkeys being chasing the guy, and they finally caught up to him. So I sort of just needed a scene for the monkeys to be carrying the guy somewhere. So I only finished this just 2 or 3 days ago, and it's since gotten almost 200 favorites and blogged on the Brothers Brick, thanks to Simon there. But yeah, just generally my inspiration. I started out with the panels in between the pillars there with the gears and such, but that's essentially where I got the idea from.
It's almost kind of a steampunk look there with the gears and stuff. And then another technique that I thought was really great here is the way you did the is that tiles on the floor there with the gaps in between them? How'd you do that?
The Travis brick, or the 1x1 with 4 studs on all the sides. That one, those are just a little special pattern underneath the 2x2 tiles. And I was talking to a few builders, getting some feedback, and they were saying that I needed to add some color in there somehow. And so I just plugged in a few pieces, and it turns out the grass fits really well in between the tiles. So went with that, and it's not too complicated of a technique. I'd seen it before and wanted to try it out, and I was surprised at how easy I was able to get it done.
Yeah, I think it turned out nice. Another technique here is the rock work. Is that tough for you, or do you find that comes together pretty well, getting all the rock work like that going together on these types of builds?
Yeah, the build I did previously, I'd sort of been going for this bouldery look, and I found that that gets a lot more random angles, but people didn't like it as much because it was sort of really too random. But this one I tried to go for a bouldery look, and I was able to get a bunch of really cool angles in there, and I think really turned out pretty well. Generally, rock work is really easy for me. If I had my computer mobile, I could show you all of my giant vat of gray I have. So this is barely any of my collection of gray. So I'm able to source the bricks pretty easily, and then I've done enough of rock work that I'm able to do a pretty decent job pretty fast, I think.
The gray sloped piece is essential for all rock work there. I know a lot of builders have very large collection of that for that type of work.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, this is a really great build, and it's cool. Like you said, it got blogged on the Brothers Break and a lot of favorites on Flickr and everything. So congratulations on that. It's nice. It's nice when people start viewing your work to a little bit wider audience.
Yeah, definitely. And it's sort of been really gradual for me coming up to my fame or whatever call it. But yeah, I just started posting builds, getting better and better, and getting blogged more and more often, and getting a lot more faves than I would just even a month or two ago. So.
Yeah. Now, another cool build that I wanted to make sure we talked about was this build is called Undermining, and I love everything you've got going on here. The way you kind of layered the rock and then the dirt and the grass and the castle. You got all the layering looks really great there, and then the guy mining in. So you want to talk a little bit about this build, and then another interesting thing you had going on here was kind of the large chunks of rock with the lighter gray running throughout it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think I'll go from original inspiration from this is a Where's Waldo, if you're familiar with that book. There was a scene where it was a cutaway and there was like a bunch of dragons like fighting these people through a bunch of rocks. So I wanted to use a scene with rocks and boulder type pieces. And this was sort of a jumping place to the rock work I was just talking about in my last build of doing bouldery looking pieces instead of just normal slopes that are off of studs. So I just wanted to do some boulder stuff, and I wanted it to make it random. So and you might be able to tell that it's pretty hard to actually do this if it was straight up. So I set it down at about this angle and started putting random pieces of rock in.
Yeah. And it turned out very nice. So what's the biggest challenge with this type of build? You've got all the different rock pieces there, the dirt, and then the castle and stuff on top. What was the hardest part of putting this all together?
The hardest part was probably mounting all the boulders. I wasn't ever able to tip it more this way, so I was always carrying around or inserting pieces on it. But some of the boulders down in the bottom left are actually solid and stuck in there, attached to the back. But as I got up, I got lazy and didn't do that as much. It's all really loose. And then building the top part, that was kind of difficult. There's a few gaps I wasn't super happy about, but when it's so random like that, transitioning to a solid brick or plates in this case is rather difficult.
Oh yeah. But I think it turned out good in the end, and you've got really instantly recognizable what this build is with the guy mining under the castle, and then that's all then plates for the dirt you had going on there?
Yeah, that's one trick I've learned, is that instead of just using bricks when you could use bricks, is to use plates or just smaller pieces. Even though I could have used bricks there, it just looks more detailed when there's the extra little lines in for the plates. So that's something I'd like to do recently, is just having these bricks, or having plates instead of bricks whenever I can.
And I think that's a technique I've been noticing more and more from a series of different builders, because it's definitely true that when you get up close and start looking at it, the plates offer, from a ways back it might not be that noticeable, but closer up it's definitely a lot more detail than just stacking plates than putting, like a 2x4 brick there or something like that.
Yeah, and I even implemented that up on the castle wall you see there. There's the bricks, but then there's also plates running through it, just giving it a little bit different texture than bricks itself would.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, really great build here, and loving the rock work as well. So definitely hope to see some more of that from you in the future. I'm sure we will, as you do more and more with your gray collection.
Yeah.
And another interesting build, as I was looking through your Flickr feed, this is, I know, one of your older builds, so I think this is pretty old now. But I thought it was kind of a funny build, something you don't see very often. This entire build is all balancing on one minifig leg. Is that right?
Yes, it is. That took me a very long time to do.
And then most of it is made out of minifigs themselves as well. So you've got landscaping, the base, the castle walls are all made out of minifig parts.
Yeah. So sort of just you see the base of the minifigs there, or it's just leg pieces sort of attached in big rectangles. And then off of that, I had a base, and I did the castle wall out of all my gray figs. And yeah, that's basically what it is. I think the only non-minifig piece is the bars coming down and across for the castle entrance.
That is very cool. And if I remember correctly, this was for a contest, balancing like as much as you could on top of one minifig. Was that how that went?
Yeah. Again, Mark Fallworth, he was running a contest to see, I think it was like, I forget the exact details of it, but it was you had to balance all of your figs on top of one stud, or just one minifig foot, essentially. And there couldn't be any support, like you couldn't put the foot on a plate or anything. So I did that, and I went way bigger than I should have, because it was really hard to balance. It fell over probably 30 times, I think, when I was building it.
I was just going to ask you how many times it fell over while you were trying to photograph it and build it, because I would imagine that was very hard to balance. But you really got good textures going in here. You got the green minifigs for the grass, the tan for the path, and everything.
Yeah, that was really fun to do. I had some cool stuff at the bottom. I'm not sure if there's a picture of it on my Flickr, if people even want to go look at it anymore. But on my mock pages, definitely. I have more pictures of blurry falling over of me trying to get a picture once I got it balanced than actual pictures.
The failed attempts of the while you were trying to balance it and everything.
Yeah, it took me 3 days with about 30 attempts, and I would and just run out of the room every time it fell over.
definitely you have to go away, come back in a little bit, and when you aren't so frustrated, and eventually you got one good one.
Yeah, eventually. And still the picture isn't very good, which is I think probably one of the big reasons why I didn't do super well in the contest, is that I had to just get one picture, and this is the only picture that's in focus. So
Yeah. But very interesting, funny build. Like I said, you don't see this kind of thing very often, so I thought talk
yeah,
about this and maybe inspire some more. I'd like to see more completely minifig built builds in the future from people. So maybe see some more of this in the future sometime then.
yeah, I definitely think there's potential to have all minifig builds. Just don't try to balance it on one stud. That's my word of advice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now
stop about
the
that.
final series of builds that I wanted to talk about here was something that you did with, I believe, another builder here, and you talk about that in a little bit. And this was a month of cheese slope builds. So this was, I believe, an entire month where every day you did a build with a cheese slope in it.
Yes, I sort of got the inspiration from Katie Walker way back when she was still posting. She did a bunch of cool cheese slope builds with different cheese mosaics and all of that. So Eli Wilsey and I, that's the other person who I did the collaboration with for the entire month. We'd alternate days and post one new cheese slope build every single day. And so essentially we had been gathering up a bunch of different techniques and different patterns that we wanted to use, and we figured a good way to do that was to go for an all-out sort of iron builder month and do these and post every single one every single day. So that was really fun.
And there's so many different ways you guys use the cheese slopes. It was really cool looking through all the different builds you did. I know you had like a storm build. You did like a crazy like cart with the fire coming out the back and everything. Then you had was this? I think this was your final build here. Is that right? The castle one here.
Yeah, this was my final build. And just for anybody looking at this, there is no piece here except for the center and the minifig that is not a cheese slope. So all of the support for the walls is all cheese slopes. So it took me, I think, 3 days, again, the 3-day number, to balance all of the different cheese slopes, stacking them on top of each other in order to get the full entire room built.
Yeah, that's incredible. You don't notice that at first, but now that you mention it, looking around here, even the kind of forced perspective stuff out the window you had going, that's all cheese slopes with like the green and the blue and the white and the clouds and everything, and all the walls and the walls and the door, everything cheese slopes. So very nice build there, and obviously that's cheese slopes can be used for so much. I always love seeing those in builds like this, so I think you did really good. Are you guys going to do any more monthly challenges like that in the future?
Next year, plug here, but we're going to do another cheese month. We have probably 10 different build ideas ready to go to do another cheese month. So it might come down to the wire like it did for a few of these last days of, okay, it's my day to post, and I haven't done anything, and it's halfway through the day. So, well,
gotta get going on it then when that starts to happen.
yeah, there's pretty big pressure because I've done a bunch earlier that month, and if I stop now, it'd be pretty bad. I think one of the builds that was really late, but I hadn't prepared ahead of time, was the storm build. I called it Thunder Cheese, with the cheese slopes sort of outlining the thunderbolt going down. That one was with just a few hours left in the day. I looked at my T-shirt and I saw a thunderbolt, and even though there was thunder and lightning outside, it was ultimately my T-shirt that was the inspiration.
Inspiration struck from the T-shirt.
Yeah. So I built that, and it was really quick to build, so I was able to get it done by the end of the day. But yeah, there's some interesting stories with how we had to build really quickly for the month. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned the inspiration there. Are there places that you get inspiration for a lot of your builds, or different castle builders, or places like that, or some of your pirate islands you've been working on?
I Google every now and then something like for let me think. I'm the next build I think I'm probably going to be doing for the Pirate Island is some monkey statue. So I've Googled monkey Lego statue before, and that's generally where I get most of my ideas. I'll look up miniature and then pirate fortress or something like that because people have done really cool like miniatures for other games or something like that. Generally, I don't get a whole lot of inspiration from other builders aside from just their techniques. So how to use a piece or something, but general ideas I think I come up with on myself or with help of Google. So.
Yeah, it is nice to do a little research to get some cool techniques from some builders who have tried the stuff before you with it in different ways, smaller ways, and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Now, I think that wraps it up for the builds then, and I'll make sure to link to all the builds that we talked about in the description so everybody can check those out. Now, do you have any entertainment that you prefer while you're building? Any movies, TV shows, Netflix, anything like that that you watch while you're doing it?
I'll put on one of your episodes actually sometimes. Just listen to that while I build. But generally, it's just listening to music, Spotify, and YouTube. So.
Okay, get music, stuff like that going. Keep it interesting while you're building.
And yeah, now it's become a habit. If there's not something playing, I'm not gonna really do very good at building. So.
You have to have it going to feed the building process now.
Yeah, definitely.
Any preferred songs or themes or genres you've been listening to recently that you find help you build?
Oh yeah, I listen to a lot of video game and movie soundtracks. Those are fun.
Always some good stuff to be found there.
Yeah, just like mainstream music. That's always good.
Definitely, well, very nice. So that keeps it going and keeps it interesting for you then when you get a little depressed building or anything like that.
Yeah. After so many 100 studs of rocks, you have to have a little variety in there. So.
Oh yeah. Now I mentioned at the beginning that you've gotten to Bricks Cascade and BrickCon. You've gotten some videos for us before from those conventions. Will you be making it to both of those again this year?
Yeah, Bricks Cascade was at the beginning of this.
That.
And BrickCon is in like 40-something days at the beginning of October, and I will be there. And I will be getting another convention walkthrough of that. So, yep, that's my plan. I'm not exactly sure what builds I'm going to be having there yet. Hopefully something along the lines of Great Ball Contraption or something. So.
That'd be cool. Yeah, the Great Ball Contraption's always really neat. So.
I have a few ideas for sort of my own giant one with a bunch of different rails intertwining instead of just a long line, which are cool, but sort of like my own Rube Goldberg Great Ball Contraption intertwining thing. So we'll see.
Now, how does the Great Ball Contraption at BrickCon compare to? I don't know if you've seen the videos we've made of the ones at Brick Fair and Brick World. How does that compare to those?
It doesn't at all. Probably 3 or 4 tables worth. When at Brick World and Brick Fair, there's a whole entire 20 probably worth. So I'm hoping to sort of spur some interest in it and get it going a little bit bigger because Great Ball Contraptions are one of the coolest things. And the videos you put out on those, I always go make sure and watch those all the way through, probably 1 or 2 times at least. So those are all really fun. And yeah, I have a few ideas I'm going to be using for the Great Ball Contraption I might be working on.
They are really cool, and that's one reason we try to make those videos from the conventions whenever we can, because I know there's so many things you can do with it, and I mean the possibilities are endless with the different modules you can make, all sorts of creative ways you can keep the balls rolling there on the Great Ball Contraption. So definitely, if you're ever interested in trying, I'd encourage people to look into it and try building. You can start with simple, small little modules, and then slowly get bigger if you find you enjoy it or good at doing it. But definitely try it out, especially if you're going to BrickCon, because it sounds like they need some help over there.
Yeah, guys, get on it. I know some of you are watching this, so build Great Ball Contraptions.
Oh yeah, for sure. Now, so you've been to how many years have you been to the Bricks Cascade and BrickCon now?
This is actually I'm pretty recently introduced into the online community and the convention community, so I've only been to BrickCon one time, and I was just public at Bricks Cascade 2 years ago, and then I was a builder out there this year. So 3 conventions in total, 2 Bricks Cascade, 1 BrickCon.
So you've made it a few times then. Do you have any funny or interesting stories from those conventions you have made it to? Anything cool that happened to you while you were there?
Yes, I do. There's at BrickCon, my first builder convention, I was doing stuff there, and David Frank, the person who built the giant Rivendell there, and he's done a few other builds like Pirate Rock and such. You might know him from that. He comes by with a Mega Bloks flag, like made by Mega Bloks with the Mega Bloks logo on it, and puts it on my castle. And I'm like, really, man? Come on. My castle, this is Mega Bloks, this shouldn't even be in here. And so it turns out that somebody from the public came by and put a Mega Bloks flag on his giant display of Rivendell. So whoever did that is starting a really bad tradition, but I took it and then put it back on his, and then he took it, and it sort of became this game of keep the Mega Bloks flag off of your creation. So.
Yeah, so somebody doing a little graffiti, messing up some of the builds there with the bringing in the Mega Bloks to the Lego convention.
Yeah. It turned out to be a pretty funny day with that. That happened to be on the last day, so we found it after he was started packing up. So this year, I know there's going to be a lot more happening with that, because the theme for this year is invasion, and I have all the castle builders bringing Mega Bloks figures based off of that idea to put around on everybody else's builds. So it should be pretty good.
There'll be an alien invasion taking place there with all these outsiders coming in and ruining the other builds somewhat.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, that's really cool. One of the many things that can happen to you at a convention like that. Was there any other interesting experiences you've had?
Yeah, there was one time, and it was at Bricks Cascade, that I was filming for the unveiling of the Sandcrawler. I didn't know what set it was at the time because they hadn't unveiled it yet.
Yeah.
But I walked up there, got a few pictures of it and close-up shots, and I said, okay, now the first person to post this online is just going to get all the fame because nobody else had seen it before. And I actually had to go leave for a basketball game. I didn't leave to go home and post the pictures. But later that night, my name got called for a door prize, and they were like, wait, wasn't that the kid that left to go post the pictures? And so they were actually debating about whether or not to give me my prize the next day and just sort of take it themselves, because they wanted to be the first ones to post it online as well. Yeah.
Mm. They thought you'd run out on them just to go throw it all up online and hope to be the first with it, but that wasn't the reason. So you can clear that up for anyone who was misunderstood that.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. All the different people, probably 10 different people, came up to me and said, "Where were you last night? You missed your prize." Sort of in a dubious, half-questioning manner. So, yeah, that was pretty fun. The next day, though, they gave me my prize, so I was happy.
That was good. They didn't keep it from you, so you were able to get that. And yeah, then you were able to get the video of the unveiling as well, which we certainly appreciated. So if you follow the page here, that we posted that as well. So do you know if there's going to be a set unveiling at BrickCon this year?
I think they're generally going to be doing one at Bricks Cascade and BrickCon. So there probably is going to be one. There was one last year, so it's only going to grow, and they'll probably go to that population of convention. So there should be. Don't know what set it's going to be yet, but it's going to be good.
Mm-hmm. We'll look forward to that then. So yeah, hopefully you can get some more video of that, and everybody will be able to see the unveiling. So very cool. Now, I mentioned at the beginning, and we've talked a little bit about it throughout here, that you're relatively recent into the hardcore building online community and stuff. What have you found is that the best way that you've built your collection up over the last couple of years? Mostly Bricklink, or have you found other ways to do that as well?
Bricklink, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but there's this one store near us that's called Bricks and Minifigs, and it's an unofficial Lego store, but they have this constant, probably 5 good tables worth probably 20 gallons each of bulk pieces. You can go and source whatever you want for a really good price. So that's only 25 minutes away and right across from where my brother works. So I'm able to just sort of hitch a ride with him and go and get a bunch of bulk pieces.
Huh. So so these are actual brick and mortar stores then, where they unofficial they sell Lego sets and pieces and stuff like that.
They sell all the sets for secondhand prices, which are over what the normal price is. So I never buy from there, but I always go for the bulk, which is really good. So generally though, my older brother and I have been getting sets from when I mentioned I was 4 years old. I've been getting sets every birthday and Christmas and spending all my money on it. So I have, I think, generally a pretty large collection to start off with compared to other people who just got into it and then sort of needed to build their collection from there.
Yeah. So you've been getting it for birthdays and that kind of stuff, and building it up throughout the years a little bit that way. That works well. And then so you mentioned that you do some stuff on Bricklink as well.
Yeah, definitely. Bricklink is the best way to get pieces. Aside from if you have a really good bulk person next to your house, like I do, which I know you have.
I'm sure everyone has someone like that just right next door.
Yeah. No, Bricklink has been really good to me. I've been doing a bunch of stuff on there. When I first started, just getting like a bunch of dark tan or dark gray slopes for castle pieces or for rocks, and I've been getting castle pieces and such. What I generally build. So recently, I haven't been doing a whole lot as I've been able to buy more than I can really build with. So I've just been building with all the pieces I've already bought. So that's generally the way it's been working recently. But Bricklink has been really great to be able to get all the pieces I need for any specific build.
Sure. So always go back to Bricklink. You know, the best place to find pieces. I think all builders would agree. So it'll be interesting to see how they continue to update that. I know Alice Finch and her team are continuing to work on that. So with so many builders using that, it's interesting to see how those changes are coming out. So hope for the best there. But I know a lot of builders like yourself and a lot of other people in the community use that on daily basis almost. So definitely hope that all works out well in the end.
Yeah, there was one thing I wanted to note about Bricklink that I sort of discovered and sort of figured out how to game the website a little bit, is that if you go into advanced search and do a few things like specify the quantity and then also search for the highest or for the lowest price, you're able to find pieces for like 1 cent each and really high quantities that you're able to buy. So I haven't actually bought anything using that strategy yet, but I think that's a pretty good way, in my opinion, to just get like bricks or pieces from in really high quantities at really low prices. So I know there's one Bricklink store called House of Logos. They have probably 100 different pieces for in quantities of probably 1,000 plus for a penny and a third. So that's been something I've been looking forward to be able to use to just go and buy like thousands of pieces for 20 bucks.
So you found kind of a few different ways you can work around and find the best deals on Bricklink and discover the best and cheapest pieces you can get there.
Yeah, definitely. And when I first started, I thought the website looked a little bit outdated, but I think it probably still is sort of behind the times. But I'm able to use it now really well, and it's served me well.
You've gotten used to it. Now, I have to ask you as a T-fall then, we talked about this a little bit before with other T-falls we've had on the show. Do you get that feeling where it's like the adults have all the money and the T-falls are dirt poor and just have to use what few pieces they can get, or do you feel like you can usually get a hold of the pieces you need for your builds?
I generally feel like I'm probably have more bricks than most A-folds, actually. I'm probably the exact opposite of what most T-folds have. I have a really large collection from when I was a child, and I generally go and work with my dad sort of as a part-time contractor during the summer. He's a teacher during the year, so he does that, and I'm able to make a pretty good wage and able to have a pretty good amount of money I'm able to spend on Legos.
Okay. So you don't have the problems that a lot of T-falls have then with the very limited income to just get a few choice parts whenever they need them.
Yeah. And I've been talking to a few of them recently, and they're pretty jealous of how I'm able to have that situation. So
Well, that's nice. So you can continue to get the pieces you need whenever you need them like that. That's good.
yeah.
Now, I think to finish it out for us tonight, do you have any dream Lego set that from one they've already made or one that you'd really like to see them make?
Probably one that I really want that's way too expensive now is Fort Lego Radio or something.
Fort Lake Arado?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one I've looked up to in my childhood ever since it came out and really wanted it. I've never actually bought it. I know there's used copies out there, but that one, even though it's not one of the themes I build in generally, would look pretty nice. The phone's going off there. I have to ignore that.
Uh, that's fine, and yeah, that is a really great set. I know I actually own that setup from actually some of my older brothers. They got it when they were younger, so that set is, I guess you could say, been in the family for a while, and it is a really cool set. I believe that's the one that comes with kind of the ramped base plate and all of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably one of my favorite sets that I do own is the little pirate one that has the little preformed island with it. It came out a few years ago.
Yeah, so I think that's one of them that came out in the kind of pirate line, the new pirate line that came out a few years ago when they released the kind of 2.0 line or whatever you'd want to call that with some new pirate sets. I think that was one of those sets.
Yeah, that's definitely been some of the inspiration of why I've sort of gotten back into the pirate stuff. Is I've actually gone and rebuilt that set just because it's really cool. But then I always go and destroy it once I need a piece from it. But that's been, I think, the only set I've actually rebuilt from when I've originally had it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess if anyone out there is looking to sell a used Fort Legorado for a decent price, maybe you could contact Grant and try to hook something up there if you want to give him a little bit of a deal to help him get one of his dream Lego sets there.
Yeah, definitely do that.
Oh, for sure. Hook something up there. Well, I think that's finishes out for us tonight, Grant. It was awesome having you on the show. Really enjoyed talking to you about your builds and some of the conventions and things you got coming up here. Look forward to what you're building some more in the future, and definitely anything you bring to BrickCon. Look forward to seeing that as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a great time being able to talk.
Oh yeah, no problem. Now, I'll make sure to include links to everything we talked about in the description of this video so you can check all those out. And I'd encourage you to subscribe to the YouTube page here at Beyond the Brick and make sure you don't miss any episodes of the show in the future or any of our convention coverage. Like we mentioned, if everything works out as planned, Grant will be getting us some videos from BrickCon, so you can look forward to coverage from there as well. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week.